success.
Mm-hmm.
We've never over the years told our volunteers when they'll be on schedule. We always let them kind of somewhat pick, but
Mm-hmm.
that had to come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So as of the beginning of this year, we came up with our own unique um, staffing schedule.
Okay.
And I actually worked with Jesse Rubio. This was before I knew the county, Stanislaus County was working with First Due.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Jesse. We actually wound up getting a quote because we were assured that you guys could create something that would meet um, our current staffing schedule. However, once we found out
Okay.
the county was moving forward with First Due, we obviously weren't going to pay for something we were going to be getting free.
Right.
So this new staffing schedule is working very well for us.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we reached out to Jesse was we were trying to figure out, okay, what kind of software out there that can help us manage this? It's not complicated. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't require a lot of the things that your software provides, like technical rescue teams and rescue one trucks and
Mm-hmm.
ladder trucks and quints. We don't have any of that stuff.
Right.
So we came up with our own. I kind of developed part of it, and then I, along with Mike Moberly's help, and one of our captains, who's an Excel guru.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of put our own together. That's actually posted on our website under our members portal.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest thing for me to do is to show you what it looks like, so that you get a better feel versus me trying to describe it, and
Sure.
then you can from there tell me, well, that should be simple to do on First Due.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to do this, it's been a long time since I've done this. It was my old career. That I can share my screen with you, and then I
Yeah.
can show you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So remind me how we do that.
So let me stop sharing. Okay, so if you're looking at our Teams meeting right now,
Yep.
you should see a number of icons at the top of your screen.
Yep.
If you're joining Teams, yeah. So there's a leave and then there's a share. So if you hit that share button,
Yep.
you can determine, do you want to share a full screen or a specific window? I
No,
typically recommend a screen.
Yep.
And then, yeah, if you have multiple screens, just make sure you're choosing the proper screen that you want to display.
Okay, I chose entire screen.
Perfect. Once you choose your screen, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally did mine. Okay. So once you select your screen, it should load. It might take a second, but
What do you see?
not seeing anything yet. So go ahead and try it one more time for me. Hit the share.
It's telling me share a file privately, free trial.
Are you in this meeting on the
Just the web.
Teams?
No, just the web browser. We don't
Just
have
through a web
Teams.
browser. Okay, gotcha. Well, it should not make it. Oh, there we go. Okay, Moberly's pulling up. Okay.
Is that what you were looking for?
No, I'm looking. I wanted to show her the handwritten calendar. I did it first. It's easier, but where are you, Moberly?
I'm in the Teams app, not the browser, so I can share it that way.
All right. Well, that'll have to work. That I was going to show her how it kind of got to that, but that's fine. Let's start with go to the Michael. Go to the other spreadsheet one first. Okay, so this is September, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, your name again is Kylie?
Kai. Just Kai.
Kai, sorry.
Yes,
Kai.
sir.
Okay, so what we created was 7 shifts, A through G.
Okay.
And each shift is assigned a captain, an engineer, which may be both in some cases, a firefighter, a probational firefighter. Some shifts might have 3 people, some shifts might have 4. It varies. Okay. And then what happens is when this all started, so let me back up one more time. So we got 7 different shifts, like I said, they're broken up. And then our actual shifts that we assign them to are Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then on weekends, there's 2 shifts. So for example, Saturday a.m. would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then the p.m. would be 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. So there's 4 shifts on the weekend. And then that's just a constant moving target. So if you look at what Moberly brought up, the first one here, September 1st, which is a Monday, that's F shift. And on this particular shift, there is just the 2 personnel, Scott and Rodriguez.
Okay.
And then the next one is, Waddle, Brunson, and Lawler, which is Tuesday, and so on. And then when you get into Saturday and the weekend, you can see both Saturday and Sunday, there's 2 shifts per day.
Right. D's the AM, E's the PM, F is the Sunday AM, G is the Sunday PM. Okay.
Correct.
And you said that those weekend shifts, those are 12s or those a 10 and a 14?
No, they're 12, 7, 7,
They're
and
12s.
7
Okay.
and 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this spreadsheet you're looking at is the one that Moberly and I work from when we created originally, and it runs all the way out through the end of the year. But with all these people being volunteers, we know they need to have a little flexibility due to work, personal commitments, family, etc. So as they get closer to their shifts, they're constantly doing trades. Moberly, pull up August. So everything that's highlighted in yellow was a trade. That was not the way it was originally written. So when they need to trade, they reach out to me or Moberly, say, hey, I traded with this person for these dates, etc. We make the quick change on this spreadsheet. We put little notes in just to kind of confirm, who traded with who and what dates, etc. Just in case there's any questions or problems. But don't worry about the rest of the color codes. That's more for me for tracking.
Okay.
Now, this is actually on our webpage, on our members portal. Obviously password protected. They can see it this way, or they can look at it in the way that Moberly originally had it up. That looks like this. So when we make the change on the previous spreadsheet, it automatically carries over here due to all of the formulas that were put in.
Okay.
This is working very, very well for us. Yeah, it takes a little time for me or Moberly to make these changes, but it's quick and easy.
Right.
And it's just on mine and his ability. That's just SharePoint into the web page, and away we go. And Moberly, go ahead and show her. Pull up the web page and go to the members portal, and so she can see the flow chart, and maybe that helps a little bit more.
I'm going to stop sharing and then open that up real quick here.
You're as bad as me, Moberly.
Well, I never log into the portal, so
Oh,
I had the password saved somewhere, and I don't.
you
It's
need me
not
to bring it
showing
to
it. Yeah.
you? Hang on. Hang on, Ty.
Technical difficulties. Sorry. That's it.
You still there, Kai?
I am.
Okay. We're not off on us. So that's our, ever-changing flow chart of who's who and what their roles are and the shifts.
Okay.
As Moberly, you scroll down a little bit more, then the color codes kind of give everybody to know what's what and who's who, et cetera, what their roles are, what their capabilities. So for example, when they want to do trades, a probational firefighter can't trade with a firefighter, or
Right.
a engineer can't trade with a firefighter.
Mm.
An engineer can take the firefighter spot if he wants to, but we can't have a firefighter be an engineer if he's not qualified. So that's all kind of what all the color coding is. So when these guys and gals are looking at this and looking at the schedule, we actually put the probational firefighters in a group me text. The firefighters are in their own individual group me text. The captains, engineers are, so that they can just text that group to say, hey, I'm looking for a trade for this night, and away it goes. And then once they get that done, and like I said, they text Moberly or I to make the change on the calendar. We don't have them doing it. I know that that's going to be one of the capabilities in your software. I'm going to kind of keep a close eye on whether that's something we would want to allow, because I still like to be able to see and know what's going on. And I realize there's probably some approval process, because we just want to keep an eye on any shenanigans that might be going on.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So does that give you a much clearer picture of
It does
what ours looks like?
It does. Okay. Yeah. And I can definitely see how the first meeting was not extremely helpful for you, because you really need a little bit of guidance on like building out your specific rotation in our system, because you don't work just like a simple 24/48 schedule. It's pretty not complex, but it's different.
That's what Jesse said. He never saw anybody have a 7-shift schedule.
I've seen it. It's definitely not common though. It's definitely a lot more uncommon to have that style rotation, but I have worked with maybe 2 or 3 departments that work that. Now I am going to say this, it's not going to be a simple 1 on 7 off either, unfortunately, because on weekends you're split into days and nights. So we're going to have to look at this a little bit differently than how you have it built into your Excel spreadsheet, in order to automate everyone into that rotation on the proper days that they should be generating. And so basically what I mean by that is I'm going to steal the screen again here and pull up your board. So I can see you guys have already kind of started walking. You guys, started building things out. You have your day staff assignment, which is where the 2 of you are going to generate, I'm assuming, right? You're the admin folks, or those that kind of work that 40-hour schedule. And then you have your station 39. You have a 39 night, and then I'm going to assume the idea was potentially building a 39 day for those weekend assignments. What we can do is we can build a station 39 assignment that is a 24-hour assignment that generates Monday through Friday. And then on weekends, we have a 39 day and a 39 night because now we have people working 12s on those 2 days of the week. By doing that, your members are going to be on 2 rotations. Okay, they're going to be on a weekday rotation and they're going to be on a weekend rotation. So it's not going to be a simple 1 on 7 off because that is going to follow them through the weekend, right? So we need a true weekday rotation. What is their rotation through weekdays? And then what is their rotation through weekends? So neither of those are a 1 on 7 off. They're going to be a little bit more complex than that. And in order for us to find that, I am going to likely need a few months of your schedule to find what that rotation is. So I'm going to have to count through it.
Well, let me hang on. Let me do something here real quick. It may be what you're looking for, and if so, bear with me because Moberly's. I'm gonna email you something. The handwritten one that I was trying to pull up.
Yeah, I tried sitting down and counting it out and to see what type of rotation it would be, and yeah, it was.
It's
going to
be
complicated,
long.
but I wasn't thinking of splitting it into 2 separate rotations. Although I did do a similar thing before when I was toying around with some other scheduling software to try to accommodate it like that. And yeah, I ended up having to do that to where, all right, this week repeats once every like 6 weeks, but then the weekend repeats every so many weeks. And
exactly. Yeah.
So Moberly, can you pull up what I just emailed you?
Yeah, let me grab it real quick.
Now, Kai, this is only going to show 1 month. I can, show you the next 2 months the way I originally kind of put this together. I use this as a visual for our new hires before we bring them aboard so they can get a better understanding of how this works to tell us whether that's going to work in their personal work, et cetera, schedule. Maybe this will or will not help, but we'll wait till Moberly's able to get it up.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, so, the other thing I realize that complicates it is Monday through Friday. In reality, the only schedule I'm concerned about is the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. because there's the 3 of us that are here the majority of the time during the day, during the week. And we don't really have people taking our spot. We have one particular member on our department that helped, the one that helped put this spreadsheet together. He wanted to have it so that when you look at that calendar look that Moberly brought up earlier, it shows the weekday staffing, which is me, Moberly, and Chief Burner. But 99% of the time of the year, that doesn't change.
Right.
Nobody's really filling our spot. So it was kind of extra clutter that we really didn't need. But, I couldn't really win that argument with the guy that's putting that spreadsheet together. But so if it is designed that Monday through Friday is quote unquote a 24-hour shift, let's say, I don't really care to a point because everybody's going to know it's really 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Right. And it actually doesn't need to be. It can be night.
Yeah. And I'm not always worried about the daytime part. The thing with the thing with the shifts also is we also allow a little flexibility of that 7 to 7 because we have people that have to be to work at 7 in the morning.
Right.
So some of them will do 6 to 6, some of them will do 5 to 5, et cetera. As long as it's within a couple hour window, we're fine with that. And so if on the spreadsheet that I work with Moberly, we'll put that in there, and then we still send out a daily text to so everybody's reminded of that. But that's where I have the opportunity to look and see, okay, Michael's on today. He's a 6 to 6 guy. I got to, let everybody know. Can I hit that rotate on the bottom right?
I was trying to find the rotate and
bottom right. little further down. There you go.
There you go.
So this was January of this year when this started, and
okay.
and this is kind of what I just show everybody. So obviously, if you were on A shift, that means you're going to be on Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And you scroll ahead. Okay, when's my next shift? It'd be Monday, and so on. And that just carries on into the next month, on and on and on throughout the year.
Right. Yep. And this is exactly what I'm needing to find your rotation. This is perfect. So quick kind of side question. So you said, not everyone works the 7P to 7A. Some might work a 6 to 6, a 5 to 5. Is that constant for them, or does that change sporadically based on their other work schedule?
It's somewhat constant based on, let's say I've got, what did you say, Mo? Probably about a half a dozen of our people that, Michael Berner's always 6 to 6, Rob's always 5 to 5, Dominic's always, because of their work. But if it's weekends, well, it may not be. They may just do 7 to 7 because they don't have to go to work that day.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of based on their other, I'd say it's pretty common for them to have a time slide Monday through Friday and then not have it on, Friday night or on the weekends. Except for like Sunday PM because they have to work Monday morning kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. So, okay, perfect. So this is January. Do you happen to have this calendar for February and potentially March as well, like this view here?
Nobody doesn't. I just scanned this one page. I do have them in my hand. I have them in my hand.
Okay. Just because it doesn't look like this is going to capture the entire thing, so I was just curious.
What's that?
It doesn't look like this is going to capture the entire rotation, so I was just curious.
No, like I said, that's just January. Obviously, if you look, what would February, if you said, okay, what's February 1st going to be? Because it's got an X on it. Well, it would be E and F shift.
Sure.
You're looking to march it out to where, like, Wednesday the 1st, A shift. When's the next time Wednesday the 1st is going to be an A shift again? That way you can measure the length of the rotation.
Correct. Exactly. Yep. That's what I'm looking for.
Because the other schedule, well, I guess you'd have to look by letters instead of personnel because the personnel changed, but
typically by letters most beneficial. Versus
so what are you asking? What are you asking from us that based on this?
So I'm looking for when the rotation ends on a Wednesday being an A shift day again. So you'll see, like, on this calendar, it starts with Wednesday the 1st is an A shift day, but down through the bottom, the last Wednesday is a B shift day, right? So this isn't going to capture the entire rotation that I'm needing for weekday. And again, weekend is its own separate as well. So I'm potentially going to need 2 to 3 months of this calendar view in order to find the entirety of that rotation.
The one that looks like this?
Preferably. I could use the other calendar view though. So
I have it in my hand. So I mean, I can scan. This was just all done by hand, as you can see. I mean, I've got the first 3 months written up in hand. I mean, we could probably print out we could probably print out the one that's on the web portal and scan it to you so that you can see it.
Sure. I mean,
that still has letters on it too.
Yeah, as long exactly. All I need is I need the letters, right? There needs to be the shift titles. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That way I can just find the rotation. I think we have this rotation, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I've worked with another department who actually works 7 shifts on a rotating basis, just like you. So we may already have this rotation built in. I just don't remember what it is. So
I spent a little while looking through the rotations, trying to see, like, Oh, are any of these close? Like, I'm sure something can get pretty darn close.
It can, and if it can't, we can build it, right? Our development team can create new rotations. It is about a 2-week turnaround time, though. So the more quickly I can find out what that rotation is, the more quickly we can find out, do we have it or do we need to get it built? And we can get it into the queue to get built.
I guess technically we have 3 rotations. We have the volunteer rotation, which is the main one that's going to be the problem. We have the easy day staff, like during the week rotation, which is obviously built in because, Monday through Friday is pretty easy.
Right.
And then there's also a on-call rotation where we have an on-call chief that's usually Monday through Friday. That is pretty much the same Monday through Friday. And then for Friday afternoon till like Monday morning, there's a rotation between, I think, 4 people? You, yep. Chief, Randall, and Tony, that take the on-call officer duty on the weekends. That would be another rotation to put in.
Okay. So if you can find out what that rotation is as well, we can make sure we either 1, have that rotation, or 2, get that rotation built. Which is the same thing, just looking at that calendar, that on-call calendar, and finding what that rotation is. It shouldn't be quite as difficult because it's just across 4 people. So it shouldn't be quite as long.
Yeah, it's just a sequential rotation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So from a rotation perspective, as soon as you can get those calendars sent over to me, I will work on seeing, do we have that rotation in our system, or do we have those rotations, because there's going to be 2 of them specifically for that 7 shift. I'll get working on that. You do have your day staff rotation built out already. That one's nice and easy. We're good to go there. Now, okay. Let's kind of back up here for just a moment.
I did play with the qualifiers a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, your qualifiers are going to be positions within the department, typically, is what we see qualifiers used for. So it's a way to quickly and easily identify, what position someone works. So very similar to that one of those spreadsheets that you pulled up, right, with the color coding. This is a captain. This is a captain who can, or excuse me, this is an engineer who can, step up, or this is an engineer who's working on their step up. This is a firefighter who's still probationary. That's really kind of what qualifiers are used for, is a way to tag and identify those individuals, right?
Would that play into like the minimums for the day, where you're like, all right, for this day, we have to have either a captain and someone else, or an engineer and someone else?
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's where, when we look at our board, you'll see, like, for example, in this Station 39 assignment that you've created so far, you said that your minimum staffing is 2, right? So I'm going to assume those 2 is the captain and the engineer. But you have 4 seats basically available. So you're saying we can have 4 people working, but if we drop down to 2, we're still adequately staffed for the day, right? So that's really where these tags are going to come into play, and we can specify what position is needed on a daily basis, and right, what's required on a daily basis, which is what's optional.
That's the part I was wasn't sure quite how to set up right. So basically, like, each shift has a max of 4 seats available, which could be a captain, engineer, and 2 firefighters. And then for minimums, we require a minimum of 2 personnel. One must either be a captain or an engineer. And then the remaining minimum seat can be an engineer if there's a captain, or a firefighter if there's no captain. And any remaining seats can be firefighters or probationaries, as long as there's not more than a max of 2 probies per shift.
Gotcha. And so because and this kind of differs based on the shift, right? Like the schedule to each shift. Does this kind of differ based on the shift?
Well, in a perfect world, what Mobley put together there for you would be awesome. And
Right.
it's constantly going to be different because as we stand and speak today, our only engineers we have are captains.
Okay.
So I don't
Gotcha.
have I don't have the luxury right now.
Right.
And who knows if I win, and that's a whole different conversation of when I'm going to have the luxury of having a captain, an engineer, and a firefighter. Right now, our captains are the engineers.
Right. Okay. So
imagine that would get addressed in qualifiers somehow.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, so we could do one of two things. So our first option is we can, honestly, what I'm thinking is we remove these requirements from the assignment altogether, is what I'm thinking. So we go in and we remove that, requirement, excuse me, of captain, engineer, firefighter, and probationary firefighter, right? And we just make it no qualifier required. And then what's going to happen, I'll show you. Okay, and we'll just say that the first two are required positions. No thanks. Now you'll see this station 39 night says any, right? We look back on the board. There's no specified tags associated. However, your personnel are associated to qualifiers, right? So all of our captains are in the captain qualifier. Anyone who can work as an engineer, which are your captains, are in the engineer qualifier, right? So on and so forth. What we're going to do is we're going to put all of those ranked personnel who can work in that position into that qualifier, and we're going to turn on show on shift board. So anytime any of these individuals are working, we see that captain tag to the right of their name, and we know that we have a captain working versus a firefighter working versus a probationary firefighter working, right? So we're not necessarily putting a tag requirement on a seat, but we can see who our personnel are based on what qualifiers they're associated to when they're working on the board. Okay, so if I have, let's just say, for example, today, Rob is working. Okay, so Rob is put into this station 39 night assignment. Stick Robin. I'm just putting him in for a single day. Sometime, we'll just say it's paid. Save. We see that captain tag. Right, he's not filling a requirement of captain, but we see that captain tag. Thoughts on that?
Okay.
So then if the qualifiers aren't in for seats, then I guess if trading was put in through the system automated, then how would you enforce that somebody doesn't accidentally trade out of the captain's seat and you have,
right,
three firefighters and
so
no captain or engineer to drive them?
So even if we had qualifiers associated to your vacancies, the way you just had it set previously before I remove them, that's not going to in any way affect trade.
Because the qualifier assigned to the person?
To the person, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So it's all based on what qualifiers a person is assigned to. Now we do have this limit trades to matching qualifiers. This setting tends to cause some issues though. Okay, so the idea behind the setting, limit trades to matching qualifiers, if it's on, we're telling the system that individuals can only trade with those that share all of the same qualifiers as them. Okay, so what I mean by that is if I'm in the captain qualifier and I'm also in the engineer qualifier, and I want to put a trade in with you, Michael, let's just say you're in the captain qualifier, but you're not in the engineer qualifier, I can't trade with you. The system's not going to let me because we don't share all of the same qualifiers, right? If I'm just in the captain qualifier and you're just in the captain qualifier, I can trade with you. The system will allow it. But the issue arises if people are in multiple qualifiers. That's where it really becomes an issue.
Yeah,
So
that would make it difficult to trade down,
sure. Right. Exactly. So typically departments need a little bit more flexibility than the system or than the setting allows. So usually we're going to leave it off. And trades, for the most part, have to go through an approval process. Now, if you don't want trades to go through an approval process, we can say that they don't require approval. But if they do require approval, you can confirm, can these two people trade with each other? Are we gonna, right? Is this going to result in any staffing issues? If it is, you deny the trade. If it's not, you approve the trade, right? But that would then require you to route the trade for final approval versus just saying no approvals required. Someone sends it out, someone accepts it, it's good to go. Because I mean, right now, you guys are technically approving it, right? If a member has a trade, they call you, they say, hey, Johnny's working for me. You then go into the Excel spreadsheet and you make those reflections. And if Johnny can't work for that person, you say, hey, Johnny can't work for you, find someone else to work for you, right? So you're technically kind of approving it now because you're making the change in the Excel spreadsheet.
And I guess there's nothing stopping people from, like, if we set it up to where trading like for like is fine, and then if they wanted to trade up or down, they'd have to actually reach out to us for us to manually do it, which wouldn't be really much different than how it currently is,
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's
I guess it's a little confusing having the either like shift qualifiers and like personnel qualifiers.
So what do you mean by shift qualifiers?
Um, how I had the qualifiers on the like day staff had a captain seat, an engineer seat, and a firefighter seat before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I will say having those requirements set in your assignments is not required, right?
Yeah.
You can have this set to any. Now, I will say departments that have very, very consistent staffing, right? Full-time, like career departments that have very consistent staffing every single day. Engine 1 has a captain, an engineer, and 2 firefighters. That's where this really becomes useful, right? But departments who have a little bit more flexible staffing model and need that kind of flexibility, that's where we say we're not going to necessarily associate a requirement to each of these seats on a rig or a unit or a station because there needs to be some flexibility each day on who's working, right? As long as you're either a captain or an engineer, that need has been met. That's where doing it the second way that I'm recommending is going to be more beneficial for you, right? We just display the tag next to someone's name that they're associated to when they're working. And when you're, reviewing your board each day to see what your staffing counts are and your staffing levels, you can confirm, okay, we got our one requirement of a captain or an engineer working, right? Johnny's a captain versus Tommy's an engineer. And we've confirmed like that this is good. We don't need to try to find someone to come in and work to fill this gap. So try not to get too hung up on, this setting requirements within seats because that may not be the best way to set it up for how you guys function and staff on a daily basis.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking, so correct me if I'm wrong. I just made the day and the night assignments in there because we have to have somebody, in the seat,
Right.
around the week, and that's not necessarily a rotation thing. The rotation thing is just for like the staffing of it.
Right.
Is that?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly
this
right. Now,
this kind of works. It addresses our like 12-hour split, but
yes.
then the rotation just comes into putting people in those seats, not.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly it. So, yep, your assignments are typically not going to follow any sort of complex rotation, right? Because they're getting staffed every single day. It's the people that work some sort of like a recurring pattern within that assignment. That's exactly right. Okay. Now, what I am thinking we're going to need to do, and we don't necessarily need to do this right now, but we are likely going to need to do it once we find out or we confirm what your rotation is. We're going to need a Station 39 night weekday and a Station 39 night weekend. Because again, your members are going to work two different types of rotations. They're going to work a weekday rotation and a weekend rotation, right? So we might need to create a third assignment for Station 39 night weekends. But again, that's something that we can build out once we get your rotation created and we start adding personnel to your board. But just kind of thinking ahead on your assignments. Now, the next thing I do want to bring up, so we have our, so we walk through our qualifiers. What do qualifiers do? How are they utilized? The other thing I do like to point out that qualifiers are utilized for, other than, right, your simple, who's qualified to work in what type of position, right, what rank, is our qualifiers are also used to initiate call shifts. So the call shift feature, I'm not sure if this is something that you guys are interested in using, that you guys have looked at it all. The call shift feature is what is used to basically backfill vacancies in our system, right? So you have a vacancy that you need to backfill for this Saturday. You can use our call shift feature to contact all appropriate personnel and see who can come in and work it. When it comes to initiating a call shift, we're telling the system who to contact based on a qualifier that they are associated to. So for example, if I had a firefighter vacancy this Saturday that I wanted to see, can someone come in and work this position on Saturday? I would say contact my firefighter list, my firefighter qualifier. And the system will then say, okay, here's all of the people that are in that qualifier that are available that day. So they're not already working. They're not in any sort of like a time off entry, whether it's approved or unapproved leave, right? Whatever the case might be. Here's all the people that we're going to contact that are technically eligible to work this. You will see a ton of people are currently included, and that's because your shift board is not built out yet, right? In a perfect world, or in a more realistic world, I should say, a handful of these people would be excluded because they're already working that day, or they're on leave, or whatever the case might be, right? But right now, we don't really have anyone put onto the board yet, so everyone's technically available to pick up a shift. So the reason I like to bring this up is if there is a need for like an all personnel qualifier that has every single individual in it for call shift purposes or backfilling purposes, feel free to create a qualifier for that as well. It looks like that might be your firefighter. Looks like you might have everyone in the firefighter qualifier. So that might be you technically like your all personnel, your all call list. So
I think that would probably be the firefighter list would be everyone other than maybe probationary firefighters. So then how would it work if I had, say, I had an open firefighter seat and then it could be filled by either a firefighter or a probationary firefighter?
for sure. Yeah. So
Would
that is where, yeah, no, good question. So you have two options here. One, you could say, first, I'm going to offer it to my firefighters. Then I'm going to offer it to my probationary firefighters if you want that separation, right? So a lot of agencies will say, you know what, I want to give preference to firefighters that are no longer on probation. That's where our tiered method comes into play.
Oh, got
right?
it.
Now, if you say, I want to offer it to our probies and our non-probationary firefighters, that's where you're going to want to create a qualifier that has both groups of people in one. So you would just create like a firefighter and probie firefighter qualifier that has all of them in it.
And so is this like a sequential, like call back, like it sends one to the first person, they do or don't, and then it goes down the list, or does it send it to everybody?
We can do either. So we have both options. Right now, yours is set up for wait time method, which is a sequential 1-by-1 contact, right? However, we also have what we call candidate method, or we have first come, first serve. And first come, first serve might be the method that you guys use, where you say mass blast this message out to everyone. Fastest person to respond back within that list gets it. That would be a no wait time method, and that would just be this toggled off. It's then going to mass blast out to all of these people at the same time.
Okay, yeah. I don't think that this sequential request would be something we would use, except for maybe on if we started going on strike teams again, and then you'd have to send it out on that people who are qualified for those seats. But
yeah, and typically with volunteer style agencies, we don't really need to do like that 1-by-1 contact or specific ordering of personnel, because we don't have any collective bargaining agreements that we need to follow, or overtime hiring policies that we need to follow to prevent grievances. It's all voluntary work, so
yeah, it's all easier.
Just shoot it out. Yeah, exactly. It's much easier. Exactly. Okay, perfect. So that's our qualifiers. The next thing we have is groups. So groups are typically a way for us to track like specialties, certifications outside of someone's rank. Okay. So really common examples of groups that I'm going to see departments track within the group's area are things like your car seat technicians, your tech rescue teams, your hazmat, your boat operators, drone operators, so on and so forth, right? These people that have this specialized kind of training that we might need in certain situations.
Yeah, I don't think we have too much of that.
Okay.
When I saw this and with the description in the first meeting, I put the engine boss and engine operator in there, thinking that was kind of one of the only things that we might use, but I hadn't considered the boat operator or any of that kind of stuff. But
yeah. Typically, it's things that are not necessarily like a requirement on a daily basis. But if we do have someone who is a boat operator, we want to be able to track that, right? We want to see who are our boat operators. So if there ever comes a time where we need someone who can operate a boat and has that, that signed off training to do so, we have that list of people in the system maintained. So we know who is and isn't qualified, right? Or certified to do that. So that's typically what we're going to see groups used for. Now, creating groups is a very similar process to creating a qualifier, right? So you have that name of that group. You have the short code, which is how is that tag going to show if we're showing it on the board, right? Meaning anyone who's an engine boss, if they're in this group, anytime they're working, we're going to show that ENGB next to their name because they're showing it on the shift board, even though it's not technically a requirement, right? So like I always like to say, if you have, folks who are car seat technicians, it's handy to show it on the board because if someone's coming in and they need their car seat installed, we know who to call down to the bay to install that car seat, right? Because we can see the tag on the board. All righty. Rotations, we already went through this, so we have some outstanding work to do here.
So Kai, let me
Yes,
jump
sir.
in here because some of those things you just went over, I've seen already, and for the most part, like Moberly said, there isn't too many that we would use. I see he put a couple in there, and boat operator, but many of those others, I think I'd like to focus more on the core of our concern, and that is, can something be developed for our unique schedule as we've gone over? Because if we can't get to the core part, all this else is, just kind of irrelevant. Even and I may be wrong, but even going back on what you guys were just talking about a minute ago, about finding a firefighter for an open shift. The other thing that we are doing kind of behind the scenes, so to speak, with all these trades going on is keeping a close eye on it to make sure somebody doesn't do so many trades that at the end of the month they never pulled a shift at all. The way this put together, and you'll see that when I send you, more examples of the schedule. Each of our firefighters, probational fire captains, engineers, whatever we want to call them, the ones that are supposed to be on these shifts, it needs to average out that they're on 5 to 6 times a month, 5 to 6 12-hour shifts a month. So again, you may have a way to track that, and at the end of the month run a report, which I'm sure you do. You probably don't need to show me that right now. I'd be surprised if you didn't, because that's what I'm doing at the end of the month. Like probably today, I'm going to go back into August. Takes me about 10 minutes through the Excel spreadsheet just to run through my 28 volunteers and tally up how many shifts did they actually wind up. Because when we started this, like I said, one of our biggest concerns was somebody might have a little smart shenanigans that's constantly getting a trade, but at the end of the month, they didn't even pull a shift.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So my thing without is can you develop, and it'd be relatively simple for, I mean, you can tell Mobley's a little more technically than I am. He goes in and plays with these things. It's kind of in his wheelhouse. His enjoyment level, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Automate as much as possible so I can
automate as much as possible.
Spend time
but I don't
doing other things.
Yeah. What'd you say, Mike? What'd you say?
Automate as much as possible so I could spend time doing other things.
Right. But,
yeah, absolutely.
Right. But what my point being here is if you're spending hours and hours and hours, or we're spending hours and hours and hours to try to get this to work, but yet we've got one that kind of does work now that doesn't take us time at all. I mean, it's I'm spending 2 minutes a day, maybe. So I don't want to get too deep into this to find out you can't even create what we have. And then if you do, what is the simplicity of using it, not just for me or Moberly, but when, our volunteers log in and look at this and, do trade here or on the mobile app, etc. And my own, and again, I look at it a little bit differently, and I may be wrong. You work in the fire service. I'm sure you've heard this. A lot of turnover. We're hiring. We have oral boards tonight for new hires. We're going to hire probably 6 or 7 people. Chances are 2 years from now, half of them won't even be here. So it's just going to be a constant training of new hires of how to use this app, this software. And that's a question I think we have to look at also is all the time that's going to take to have to do this training and re-inputs, et cetera, is it simple enough that it makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer the first part of your question, yes, we absolutely can develop your rotation in the system. In order to develop it, though, I need to know what it is. So that's why I need those 2 to 3 months of that calendar view or some sort of a view where I can see A through, I believe it was G shift, right? So I can find out what that rotation is.
I'm going to send you the 3 months of January through March of that handwritten calendar you saw. I'll print out in the entire year of what's on our spreadsheet, and Beautiful. I'll just scan that in so you can see it.
Perfect.
I'll scan you a copy of the flow chart so you kind of have that, just for an extra reference. There's nothing personal there that I don't believe I can share with you. The on-call chief
rotation, if there is, just feel free to black anything out that might.
Let's do that. I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong. I think before we get too much further in this,
Sure.
I'd like to know whether that's even doable.
Of course, yeah. And if that's what you want to do, you're like, hey Kai, let's first figure out what this rotation is, figure out, do we have it in here? Do we need to get it built? Because again, if we do need to build it, it's about a 2-week turnaround time to get it built, right? So there's a little bit of kind of a lag there just because we don't have a front end rotation builder. It has to be built by our development team, which is done in the code.
Totally understand that.
Like
totally
all of
understand.
these here, like these were all custom rotations from departments that our development team had to build, right? So we've done a lot of it up to
Yeah.
this point. So if we need to do it for you guys, 100%, we absolutely can. It just might be a little bit of a turnaround time to get it created.
We've been working with this system we have now for 9 months. It works great. I can wait a
Yeah.
few weeks. I can wait at least a few weeks.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
There's no rush on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So don't feel you got to have the development team jump on this for fear that we're going to have a problem or issue.
Right.
And
Right.
we'll just kind of see how it goes.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, beautiful. And then, that other question you had, we have this, or you guys have a requirement where you need to pull, between 5 and 6 12-hour shifts a month. You are correct. We have a very robust reporting system where we can actually go in and build out like a custom report for you, have it actually emailed to you on a monthly basis and say, here's here's how many shifts each person worked. So definitely, can make your life even potentially a little bit easier with that report. We have a ton of reports in here. We don't need to dive too deep into them today, but we do have a lot of pre-built reports. And then we also have a report building tool where we can build you out something a lot more specific. So you're only seeing the data you need to see and not all this extra fluff and stuff. So we could definitely build something out for you there too. Okay, so because we're wanting to hold off on, jumping too deep into other things until we kind of get this, I don't necessarily want to say like proof of concept, but basically kind of confirmation, hey, our rotation can be built. It's a simple, click, add to put someone on that rotation. If we're wanting to hold off until we see that, do we want to end today's meeting a little bit early? Do you want to go through anything additional? What do you think is going to be best for you all?
I personally do, and don't take this wrong. It's not your fault. This is the third time I've been through this demo. So
yeah,
remember I worked with Jesse at the beginning of this year, and so I had a pretty good feel on it. And then the one you did here a few weeks ago,
right?
So I don't really want to get into all the different things it can do, because if it can't do the basic thing we need, then it's a moot point.
Okay.
That's as simple as that. It's,
sure. Yeah.
And that's not trying. Please, hopefully, you don't think I'm coming across rude, but that's if we can't get to the basic core of what we're looking for, all the other buzz fancy stuff is moot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I get it, right? You want to see you want to see your people on that rotation on that board. Gives you a feel for like, hey, we're moving forward. We're not just kind of sitting stagnant. So I totally get that. Perfect.
And
yeah.
the last piece, it's just for, and Moberly will chuck a little bit at, it's still got to come across to all of us as relatively simple to understand and navigate.
Absolutely.
I just admittedly stated that Moberly is a lot more advanced than I am in a lot of this stuff. I'm okay, but both of our bosses our boss is well even below what my points are. So we take this to him and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and he's totally confused. Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lift to come off of pencil and paper to go to an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
For sure. No, I absolutely get it.
In fact, what was it, Moberly, the one that the three of us were on, and I forget when one of the first one of these meetings. I don't think it was yours. Maybe it was. I don't know. He was in my office. He got up and left. You could just see his headache exploding.
Yeah, he was out of his depth, and yeah.
So Kai, I will email you all these things that we've just been talking about. Once you get them, if you have any questions, feel free to just call me or email me, whatever. Let your team take a look at it, see what they come up with. And I think what I'd like to see next is just kind of what it would look like based on what I've sent you and what similarities it may be, and then kind of just go from there.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Well, then I will give you two a little bit of time back in your day. As soon as you get those screenshots